some tough fighting talk from the Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, because he's told voters that if the Conservatives stay in power, then they will cut taxes, while the Labour Party will not.
And we're going to start with the great Chris Hope.
Chancellor, thank you for taking GB News' question. You say you want to cut taxes. You've been saying that for months. But you have cut national insurance twice, £900 off the average person tax bill. But you've frozen tax thresholds and the polls aren't shifting. Why not? Is it you, your party, the country wants change, possibly? And just secondly, do you want a second budget pre-election to cut taxes?
It is, not a great insight, with great respect to you, Chris, to say that putting up taxes, as I had to do in the autumn statement in 22, is not popular. But it was the right thing to do for the economy. And we can see today, when the IMF are saying that our economy will grow faster than any major European country over the next 6 years, that those decisions have been the right ones. They paid off. And that's why we took them. But now we're in an election year. And if people are worried about tax, then I would just say one very simple thing. There is a choice. The Labour government, the Labour Party does not want, and a future Labour government does not want, to cut the tax burden. A future Conservative government will. That is the big choice in British politics. And our argument is, this isn't just about family budgets. We understand how important those are when it comes to cost of living pressures. Our argument is, this is about the future growth of the economy, because we can see, looking around the world, that more lightly taxed economies have more dynamic private sectors, they grow faster, and in the end that is more money for precious public services like the NHS.
That was Jeremy Hunt, and as you'd expect, the Labour Party weren't at all impressed with his comments. And check out what the Shadow Financial Secretary to the Treasury, James Murray, had to say.
I think, frankly, this is a desperate attempt to distract by Jeremy Hunt from the Conservatives' record in office. We know the tax burden is set to be the highest in 70 years. The average household is going to be £870 worse off. And frankly, they're probably trying to distract from their own £46 billion unfunded commitment to abolish national insurance. I think all this underscores is it's time for change and it's time for general election.
Well, I'm now joined in our studio by our political editor, the great Christopher Hope. He tried to flatter you there, but you didn't take any of it. In fact, you put the boot in. Is it you? Is it your party? You said to him, here's my point. His bedside manner during turbulent times, quite calming, quite soothing, a steady hand on the rudder. Isn't it now time, though, to go into attack mode? Get on a front foot. Labour put their pledges out yesterday. Shoot them down in flames and offer us a juicy tax cut.
In many ways, Jeremy Hunt was the accidental dental chancellor. He was with his children, I think, on the way back from Brussels on a half-term holiday when he got the phone call from Liz Truss saying you're going to replace Kwasi Kwarteng as the chancellor. When Rishi Sunak came in, there was speculation he might try and give the job to Claire Coutinho or to Mel Stride, two key allies. Instead, he carried on with Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy Hunt has this really good, calming manner, I think, for the markets in that chaos after the Truss implosion. It's very hard to replace a Chancellor because those two people, the PM and the Chancellor, must be in lockstep, and you replace a Chancellor, it draws questions about the economic strategy, and they couldn't afford to do it. Having said that, I think Jeremy Hunt is definitely a Tory who wants to cut taxes. The concern I've got, I think, for their party is that no one's listening. They cut £900 off the average tax bill, national insurance cut, hasn't affected the polls at all. I think a lot of people are looking at those issues of the frozen tax thresholds, Martin, recognise that nurses and doctors are paying 40% tax when really they shouldn't be normally. And why can't those go up? They've frozen those thresholds. It's called stealth rises that annoyed the Chancellor. But I'm afraid people are looking at what's happening to their pay packet.
And isn't that the point? We've had this dreaded fiscal drag we've been talking about. As you said, people are getting dragged into higher tax brackets because their salary is going up, inflation is going up. So actually, they're not getting any better off. 14, I think, consecutive tax rises. Now, of course, he will say, well, we had the pandemic, we had the war in Ukraine, and you said he doesn't feel like we've thanked him or acknowledged that enough. Nevertheless, the pounds and the pence in your pocket are what matters. And I'm afraid all of this having a pop at Sir Keir Starmer won't cut it. Surely now, Chris Hope, it's time for a tax cut or Tatar? Don't you think?
Well, yeah, I think he went towards that. The other part of that question we asked in FGB News is, will you have a tax-cutting budget in the autumn? He said there will be an autumn statement. He wouldn't say where it's going to be. He wants to bring down this national insurance pledge to get rid of that tax on jobs, as they call it. There is differential here between the two parties. This is Sir Keir Starmer's plans from yesterday, the My First Steps. In there, he makes very clear they want to keep taxes as low as possible. Jeremy Hunt says we're going to cut taxes. So they are offering something different, something more direct to voters. The problem is people don't feel richer. You can do one thing with national insurance, but more people, millions more, are paying the high rate of tax because they're frozen new thresholds. Deal with that, and they might start listening to you, Jeremy Hunt.
Now, Lee Anderson, in his own subtle way, he said the other day, Rishi Sunak could drop £1 million down every chimney in Britain and his destiny would still be secured. He's not with the party anymore. He might say that. But do you think, as you said, is it just you? Is it just your party? A few quid here and there might not be enough now. People want radical change and nipping and tucking won't do it.
Well, if they want radical change, why is Labour not offering that? I mean, again, it was a very pedestrian offering yesterday, even on launching a new border security command, a new government body, rather than stopping the boat. It does seem to me that they're doing all they need to do and not going further than they need to do, try and generate excitement. And that's why we've got this GB News polling overnight showing that just 5% have a great deal of confidence Labour will deliver on these 5 steps. But the Tories, as I say, are miles behind the polls. According to our poll overnight, 27 points behind Labour. People are not listening to the Tory offer here, and that's the challenge they've got. They've got to get out and convince people that it's not worth taking a risk on Labour.
Is there still time? Can they just pull that ultimate, channel your Paul Daniels, channel your David Copperfield, do as a magic trick, pull the ultimate rabbit out of the hat, bang, a tax cut that's going to convince people to stick with the Tories, stick with the plan? Or do you feel it's just a forlorn hope?
It could be forlorn. The tax cuts so far haven't worked. So they need some kind of big moment, but they can't spook the market as they're getting there. I do think they finally, Martin, on all the 5 fundamentals, on falling inflation, interest rates, 2 cuts this year probably, you've got falling net migration almost certainly, maybe the boat start taking off and a growing economy. It's coming back for the Tory party. Time is on their side, but I'm not sure that people are ready to listen to them.
Is an extra factor, another fun thought, let's quickly cover off. The rich list came out.
Oh, yes.
And it now turns out, my eyes popped out at this, that now Rishi Sunak and his wife are worth more than the king. Is that part of the issue here? People don't feel that Rishi Sunak's on their team. He's so super rich. How can he possibly understand the average working Brit when they're feeling the pinch?
We put that very question to the Prime Minister's spokesman at 11 o'clock today on behalf of GB News viewers. The numbers are this, that the king is worth £610 million. Rishi Sunak and his wife Akshata Murty, 651 million, because not because he's earning money more as an MP or a PM, because of the stake in this Indian company called Infosys. They say to us, judge him by his actions. He's taking actions to support people, judge him by his public works, not what's in his bank account, Martin.
And that's fair enough, isn't it? Nobody should be jealous of his wealth.
I'm not jealous of your wealth.
Well, it's good because I haven't got any. Chris Hope, always a pleasure. Let's swiftly move on. I'll see you again in the next